Welcome everybody, this is Charlie Ripeta, how you doing? Welcome to the first episode of UXCELLENCE.org. So, first of all, I want to give you some about my background. I have been working 18 years as a digital designer, and the last 12 years I've worked to UX UI. I have been working in big companies, small companies, startups. And at some point, I decided to give some back of the knowledge that I have in this professional experience. So that's why I created the first mentorship academy to become a product designer. So what's the purpose? So what I'm trying to do is combine the YouTube channel to give you the basic knowledge, but it's not kind of basic. We're going to dive into the UX and UI methodology. It's really deep. But it's one way to engage and to understand the basics of the UX UI. You can go to UXCELLENCE.org and you can go here, and pretty much what you can do is schedule a meeting with me. We have a one-on-one interview, and from that point I create like a more dynamic student program for you. It's going to be just one-on-one, like 20 persons, no, just you and me. And I'm going to give you all the knowledge that I have. I want to become your mentor in order to realize what is actually to become or to be a product designer. So that being said, that's kind of the presentation and the goals of this channel and this and the first virtual mentorship academy to become a pro designer. Or this session title is The Basic and Essentials of the UX and UI Methodology. So first of all, we have to understand that to be a pro designer, that means that you have to know about user research, UX, and UI. Those are the three pillars to actually be a pro designer. The first thing that I thought, okay, let's go through the definitions of well-known authors that we can explore and read. And then what I did was, my own definition about UX, UI, and user research. The first that I have here is the agenda for this session. The agenda is one of the most important things when you are doing a presentation, when you are in any type of meeting. Okay, what are we going to talk and which is the goal for this, right? Okay, I'm using here Figma. We are going to be using Figma. Right now, everything is centered on Figma, right? That's the platform that we're going to use to do everything. The user research, the UX, that means a sketch, diagrams, wireframes, prototypes, and then for the UI, mockups in high definition, libraries, design systems. We're going to be using for everything of that. We're going to use Figma, right? So UX UI research definitions. Let's go with the first one. Okay, user experience. Don Norman, author of the Design of Everyday Things. User experience encompasses all aspects of the end user interaction with the company, its services, and its products. Okay. Can we analyze this? I think that is pretty accurate, right? Let's go with another one. This one is from Jacob Nielsen. User experience is everything that affects how a person interacts with a product. It includes the user's perception of the utility, ease of use, and efficiency. I think that I more agree with this one, because actually it's talking about the perception of the user, and that's one of the most important things, right? But let's go with the one that I wrote. Where is here? My definition, okay. The set of sensations and perceptions that a user experiences when using a product or digital platform in relationship to their needs, goals, and objectives through a clear design, which captures and analyzes them with the purpose, in most of the cases, of economic gain. If I have to divide the definition here, it's about perception of the users. That means how easy is to use that specific digital product or digital platform. So the experience itself. And then the relationship between, if I'm putting a ton of money to create this platform, what economic goals and objectives do I have? And how I create, or how I can, as a product designer, meet those goals between just create something really user-friendly for the user with the goals that user could have, and my specific economic goals about the business. Let's go with UI. User interface is the means by which the user and the computer system interact. In particular, the use of input device and software. I think that is fine. This is Alan Cooper, author of About Face, the Essential of Interaction Design. I think that, yes, it's pretty, I would say, concrete. It touched, in my opinion, the surface about UI. Because UI is not only about the user interface, I would say, right now. Maybe, I don't know which year this definition was made. Let's go with another one. User interface is like a joke. If you have to explain it, it's not good. Amazing. Awesome. The user interface actually is like a result of the UX, right? And there's obviously some interaction there. But even the UX and UI, if you had to explain it, it's because it haven't been well thought out. Martin LeBlanc, author of UX Design 2020. So yeah, this is pretty updated. Cool. User interface, Charlie Ripeta, is the visual representation of the analysis and architecture design of the UX process within the methodology of atomic component systems, therefore libraries and design systems as common practice standards. User interface is the result of the analysis and pretty much the design of the UX itself. So it's more like this. UX is the mind and UI is the muscle. Let's go with user research. We have another 2 minutes. Steven Portugal. User research is a discipline that aims to understand the needs, behaviors, and motivation of the user to guide the design of products and services. 100%. Pretty much it's a discipline to understand the needs, behaviors, and motivation. That is exactly what user research is. There goes with another one. User research is the process of understanding who the user are, yes, what they do, yes, why they do it, yes, and how their experience with a product or services can be improved. Yes, exactly. I would say that if we combine these two definitions, it's the perfect definition. I don't know if I did one. But yeah, for sure. Understanding the user, why and what they do, and how is the experience through the product or service that can be improved. Thomas Sharon, author of Validating Product Ideas. Okay. User research provides values insight into the needs, desires, and expectations of users, enabling us to design products and services that truly meet their requirements. Yes, the idea is to gather all that information and data from the user, so you can describe a user persona, then you use that information to create pretty much the user experience and the user interface through the product itself. Yeah, what I did was on this one, on the one that we read about, the author was Steven Portugal, I added something to that one. So anti-services is the same. The user research is a discipline that aims to understand the needs, behaviors, and motivation of the user to guide the design of products and services, not only in relation to the product itself, but also to the business objective and the analysis of the product with respect to its direct and indirect competitors. So one thing that when you are doing the user research is you do the process to understand the type of persona. And one thing that you have to also do is when you are creating a new product is what type of competitors you already have. So you go through the scope. Okay, I'm building this app that is about, I don't know, whatever, to stream podcasts. So there's any other platform, there's any other direct competitor, what type of features they are launching on that specific app, for example. So it's not only about the user, but it's also about the competitors. One thing that we have to understand as a product designers is that our mindset is the next one. You collect the data and you analyze the data. Then you create the diagrams and the user flows that actually it will become the user experience. And with that data and that user experience already created, then you move to UI. UI is the visual aspect, and from that point, actually, you are creating the app itself, pretty much the final result that the user is going to see. In order to understand that, we have to have, as a product designer, clear definition of what we are going to do and what is the main skills that we have to have as a product designers, right? Let's go to the fun stuff. So this is something that you are going to see a lot in the UX UI user research process. So this is called diagrams. Okay. Maybe you were thinking, oh, I'm going to become a product designer, I'm going to be create like colors and shapes and photos and that kind of, no, it's not exactly about that. So in the process of user research and UX, something that you have to create is the diagrams to understand how it's going to be the user. I mean, there's a different type of nomenclature there, but pretty much how it would be the user journey through the entire app or digital platform that you are going to create, right? This diagram, it represents from the beginning to end what is going to be your daily basis life in the interaction with the whole team. That means developers, PMs, POs, stakeholders, and all the platform that you are going to use in the middle. That means Jira, Figma. So a team could be 3 person, 5 person, 20 person. So you could have 25 persons involved in just talking about the login, for example, right? Understand what is going to happen when you are working in a team is the most important thing to begin, right? So I took this from Figma, for the Figma community, and I just changed a few things. But it's pretty accurate. I don't have the authors here, so sorry about that. So the first thing that you will do, you start the process, and then you have to understand what type of process or what type of design you have to do. Is a new request? Is an audit that you have to do? Or is some kind of enhancement or update to something that is already created, right? Let's make this example. A startup. There's a lot of startups right now on the technological field. So someone came and said, look, I need a product designer. I have $2 million. I want to create this specific app. So that's a new request, right? That means that someone is going to create, but not someone, the PM or the PO. PM is project manager, and PO means product owner. This little thing that you're reading that is called Jira ticket. Jira is a platform to create tickets, to create tasks. So in that task, the PO or the PM send that task to you, and it will tell you and give you pretty much all the context that you need and all the information to do something. Sometimes that doesn't happen. There's no ticket, but you have to request, information. It all depends, all depends on the scenario, because most of the time on the startups, everything is like, we have a deadline and it's for yesterday. You have to understand that situation. And one of the things that is really important as a product designers, we must have a dynamic mindset. Nothing remains in still. So everything changes every single day. And the designer is the person that is going to be from the first meeting until the last one. So that's important. So we have a new request. We want to create this new platform. So someone, for example, PO and PM, create a ticket. So you have the information. So you already identify the problem or what you have to do. I think that the word problem is not totally accurate, but you have the knowledge and the information to do something, right? From this point, you do the research. Research is pretty much what we were talking. So the definitions about understand the needs, the type of person, etc. So the user research, I put it here, just a list of what you need to understand. So you have the ticket, you have the information, and then, the pro designer mindset start to working out right away. You need to understand the user demographics, the user goals, the user challenges, the user frustrations, the user pain points. Then you create the user personas. Then you create the user scenarios, the user testing, and the user experience map. And at some point, when you recollect on information, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what do you need to recollect in order to create a user persona, kind of to create a profile of that specific personas, right? Okay, so we have user research, and then the designs begin. So exploring design. So once you finish the user research, at some point you have already that documented. There's another Jira ticket. That Jira ticket is about, okay, now that we have that information, let's move to what we call a sketch and wireframes. So it's like we are going out of the user research and we are going into user experience UX. Okay, now you can move to wireframes and you can start with this specific type of user story. So one user story could be like, myself as a user, I want to log into this platform. Myself as a user, I want to buy this Apple phone or whatever product. You will have a list of long user stories, and from each user story, you will create a low fidelity. We call low fidelity and high fidelity. Low fidelity is pretty much screen designs, a sketch, wireframes, something to get an initial idea capture. You have the information, you go to UX, you create a really high level wireframes and a sketch. So I wanted to show you actually what is to be a sketch or wireframe. So this is a sanity sketching kit. I took it from the community. Pretty much is just boxes, buttons, then you have tabs, then you have menus. So these are the basic components that you will have later on the UI, right? But the first thing that you have to create is really something really high level. I'm going to make an example of a design on Sketch or wireframes. So this is one way to make you understand and show you what is the meaning of a sketch state. The most important thing is that when you are doing this, you already would have the diagrams of the user flows. So the best thing that you can do is for each little box that you have, for example, here, this is not about the user flow, but if you have this box here that is, okay, the user logins, so you are going to create one sketch or wireframe for this specific step of the user flow. User flow means every single step that the user will be doing in order to accomplish one specific goal. For example, you have this little box, okay, and this is the representation, the visual representation in a sketch form about that specific step. And then you can move to wireframes, and wireframes a little bit more detailed, right? This is an example of wireframe state. So as you can see, there's more detail to it. Are you already putting some verbiage and content here? And okay, this is about an image, and then when you click here, you go to this, and you have this type of component that seems like to be a carousel, and then there's some detail here you can put as a favorite, so you have another section. You already have defined what type of links you will have here. That means that you have home, explore, trips, inbox, profile. So as you can see, if you go from here to here, there's some difference, right? So what's the purpose of this? When you are in a meeting with the client or the stakeholder, or most of the time what you do, you are in a team. So when you finish these states of wireframes or sketch, you will do a presentation for the team, right? Most of the time to the PMs or the POs. So when you present this is, okay, a sketch is, this is the basic architecture of the screen. And this screen is for this, to log in, to buy, the product detail. So they say, okay, yes, there's no information, there's nothing here. It's just the boxes about the type of information that we want to put, but not the information itself, right? When you move to wireframes, it's okay, we are okay with this. So this is approved. So we can move to wireframes. So on wireframes, you work on more detail, right? So here is more, I don't know if I like this type of carousel. Maybe we can put just 2 or 3, type of components here, or maybe we can change. I don't like this type of grid. Maybe we can put in, instead of 2 columns, we can do it on 1 column. So you start working in more detail, right? And when you approve this, is to be here and move from here to something like this, right? So this is the final goal. But in order to get here, let me tell you, it needs a lot of interactions. It needs a lot of data, information recollected in the past, and the understanding and empathy with the user and the business goal. You never have to forget that this is to get the money, baby. Every time that you are designing, you are not only designing for the user and the type of persona. You are designing because someone is putting a lot of money on the table in order to pay your salary, and you have to create, because like I said in the beginning, right now every single platform is driving to user experience. A good user experience means success and money. Keep that in mind all the time. We are not doing just boxes and we are putting colors and shapes into this. No, what we are doing to move everything toward to the success of the platform. Okay, let's go to the libraries. You don't have to do everything from the scratch. You don't have to create everything. There's a million persons that they already created, libraries and components and the whole thing. Libraries is pretty much related to something that is called frameworks. Bootstrap, for example. You have Bootstrap, you have Material, you have React. You don't have to create every single component from zero. So that takes a lot of time. One thing that we're going to talk, along the way is design systems, but that's different. To create something like this, for example, and here there's some relationship between the development side and the UX UI. The first thing that you have to ask, and this is really important, to the lead developer person, which framework are we going to use? Are we going to use Bootstrap? Okay, as a front end, you are going to use React, Material React, or say, okay, that's cool. So you go and find that specific library and framework. So you can see here, we have components. So you have the buttons, you have the budgets. Buttons is like this. You have primaries, secondaries, tertiaries, and then you have the form inputs. You have the radio, you have the checks. I'm going to go through kind of the basic components so you understand what is the meaning or what actually entails to have a library, right? You have the alerts. What else? You have the list, navigations, pills, and different type, right? So you have the underliner, you have the outline, you have the just text, breadcrumbs, the infamous cards, drop-downs, inputs, groups. You don't have to create this from zero. What you have to do is download the library, and from that point, you start to tweak from the visual aspect those libraries. That means that you are creating your own identity to the brand itself. So you don't have to do everything from zero, and you will save like month of work, right? But the most important thing in that specific step when you are moving to UI and high fidelity mockups is to define with the development team and the lead person on that team what type of framework are they are going to use. Okay, that being said, let's go to a conclusion. Good practices of UX UI. That means recollect information, user research, mindset of UX, diagrams, sketch, wireframes. Everything is okay there? Okay, let's move to high fidelity mockups, libraries, framework, and voila. It's not that easy actually, but something like that, right? Being a product designer is a mindset, okay? It's not like just a discipline to get some money from the system. No, it's a way of thinking. It's a way of life. We have to understand that product designer, that means that you are a creator. You have the empathy, you have the knowledge, so you empathize with the user. So, I mean, it's something that came from inside, you know what I mean? You have to be in somebody else's shoes. It's about understanding. It's not something like mechanical or technical, no. It's about a state of being, right? You understand that, you empathize, then you put your product designer mindset on work, right? So it's like you are, you know, in that person thinking all the time, and okay, this person is putting a lot of money. You gather that all in one little Figma file and everything came out, right? So that's the purpose. What I'm doing here is transferring to you the knowledge that I have, not only from the books, but also from the experience on the working field. And that's something really difficult to get. And I give it to you for free here on this channel. So subscribe, and let me tell you this. Life itself is a user experience, and we are the designers on it. Thank you very much. See you in the next season.
Listen.